Hello and welcome to The Life You're Made For. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Pinney. Often our world feels reactive, confusing, and chaotic. On this show, we're going to slow down together. Take a breath, listen, and learn. We'll be joined in conversations with influential thinkers who will help us make new connections, understand our unique potential, check the beliefs we hold, and learn how to overcome unexpected challenges. I know that each and every one of us holds our own inner clarity, confidence, and courage, what I call 3C living and leading. So let's go after it together. I'm cheering you on. Hello, everyone. It is so good to be here with one of my dear friends and old friends. And I mean that in the best of ways, Jason. Good to have you here.
Oh, good. That could be taken a lot of ways.
Taken only in the good way.
That's right.
We've been friends for, well, we can say it now, decades.
Decades.
Now.
It is
Yes.
Decades. Multiple decades.
And as I promise you, audience, I bring on people that I personally have vetted, who I've gotten to watch myself, and who I've gotten to have a lot of great conversations. And in Jason's case, a lot of humorous ones. We both have a great sense of humor. Even when life gets rough, we always have a joke that we could throw in there, can't we, Jace?
Absolutely. That's the only way to do life.
So let me share a little bit about who Jason is before I toss the ball over to you, Jason. I want to tell our audience who you are. Jason's an author, a coach, a worship leader, and a storyteller who is passionate about helping people encounter Jesus through creativity. He travels all around the country, leading worship, teaching at churches, conferences, and gatherings of all size. And he is personally the director of the Creative Launch, which is an awesome organization dedicated to equipping creatives with the tools they need to thrive. Through that, he does a lot of group work, one-on-one coaching. So we'll leave all the details below, Jason, so people can reach out to you.
Absolutely.
And then most importantly, because I've gotten to be a guest on this, he has his own podcast where he is, it's called The Leaders Who Create. And he is passionate about really supporting leaders who are creating and even the leaders who think they aren't creative. He has a great way of pulling it out, and he does it all through his own creativity, which he's abundantly gifted with, leadership and faith. And he's also really just committed to opening the conversations and bringing in high quality guests on his show too. So, I think I just did a plug for me. High quality guests.
Well done. High quality. Yes, exactly.
Oh, and then most importantly, he's been married to his wife, Casey, which we both are huge fans of, since 2007. Man, that's been a while. Raising 3 amazing daughters. They are beautiful and they're fun to get to know myself. So anyways, please enjoy Jason as we talk about our entrepreneurial journey together. And that's really what I want to bring on is as we talk about leadership, how we lead ourselves. So Jason, go ahead and tell everyone else anything else that I might have missed. Add on to that.
Oh no, I love it. I love I love coming on your show because you and I both have a similar approach to this, and talking about the fact that you mentioned the leaders who are creative and maybe don't even think they're creative, and that's where I get so excited about working with people who just don't realize that there's creativity inside of them. And one of the reasons we started the Creative Launch was just to kind of bring that out in people. And we get stuck in routine and a rut, and it's like there's so much more we could do and dig in and find. And everybody has creativity inside of them. And there are people that are called creatives, and but people who are also just creative themselves. And so I love getting to do what I do. And every day, you know how it goes. You come to work, and this is work, and it's like I love it. I love so much.
Well, it's probably why it's such a good fit for entrepreneurial work. You know, my 3 C's are clarity, confidence, courage, but my team has often joked that there's a 4th C I should add, which is creativity. And I'm like, well, no, I'll let you do that, Jason. You jump in on that bandwagon with that 4th C of creativity, but it is so important. And to your point, it shows up in so many different ways. I think that's why I love the work you do. You have your own way of how it shows up, but the way you help pull it out in everyone else. I remember you telling me once that you were working with a client and their creativity was spreadsheets. Yes. And I remember I love that you honored that space with them because I think probably they've never heard spreadsheets connected with creativity. And it's probably something that they're really proud of. And to be able to feel empowered that their creativity has a different face than maybe some of the more typical ones of like singing, music, painting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of guys get stuck in the arts. It's that's where
Hmm.
creativity lies. And it's well, I have two older brothers who love. I mean, they love spreadsheets and they love that organization side of business. And it's like,
Hmm.
man, I don't get it, but at the same time, I see the where they're coming up with new ideas built within the leadership of their space. But you wouldn't go, oh, you're a painter, you're a musician,
Yeah.
and so it finds itself in them
Yeah.
in that way.
I love that. All right. Well, let's get into it. I want to ask you the first opening question, which is, when was that moment that you first realized you had an entrepreneurial spirit?
Yeah, I grew up in a home where there was business and
Hmm.
business and kind of it was a normal thing. My dad was self-employed and and we were always doing businesses as kids. We were selling mistletoe as kids, and we always had a paper route. And it was always like, what could I do to go? Like, it wasn't going to work somewhere, but it was for us. It was like, how do we personally do something to go start a business, go start a company, go start a thing? And so that to me was like to step into entrepreneurial life. But I always kind of took this right hand turn into creativity, while the rest of my two older brothers were going left into business. I was going right into creativity, but I still had that foundation
Yeah.
of business, and that foundation of wanting to be able to manage this idea of having to step out and make money and organize things and lead things. And but then it was like, oh, wait a minute, but I love the creative side.
Yeah.
And so how do those things come together? And that came a lot later in life when I realized you could marry the two. And I had a creative brain always fighting with a business brain. Like we were
Mm.
regularly going to bat, where it's and one would always win over the other. And so that's for me the it was a long process and a lot of sleepless nights, and just like questioning things, as you're kind of processing it out, realizing, oh, that's why I had the background that I have, is that I can now come in and go, oh, let's take a step forward, and I can talk to a CEO, and I can talk to an artist, and we can I understand both sides of it. So
I love that. You said that your creativity, your business side was always fighting. I'm curious. I mean, you've been in entrepreneur several decades now.
yeah.
Do you feel like they have a little bit more of a nice marriage together, or are they still in conflict?
There, I have in the last probably, I don't know, a couple years, I have given more leeway to the creative side, and in the business side is still there,
Hmm.
but I realized that a lot of the business things were physically draining me,
Mm.
and so while I can still obviously do it, I run my own company, and it's I the where I see energy and where I see excitement
Hmm.
is in the creating side of things. Tax season makes me want to hit something. As you sit back and it's like, you're dealing with the spreadsheet and you got to do the taxes and you got to process through all those things,
Yeah.
and I get to the end and I'm like, do I love what I do that much? Can I, is it worth it, to continue doing this? And then I finish and go, okay, I can
Yeah.
continue on.
Yeah.
But a couple this last year I did something with my schedule where I took 4 weeks off, as I kind of call them sabbatical weeks.
Hmm.
Um, and this last one was in the fall. And the fact that my wife and kids are in school, my wife homeschools our girls, and so we weren't going on vacation. I just chose to take the week off, and I actually started writing a book. And during that time, I realized, man, I would come home after a day of writing, but I was energized because it was for me. It was. I spent the day doing what I'm meant to do, and that's creating.
Hmm.
And rather than running from meeting to meeting, and it wasn't. It was a different level of. It was a different level of energy for me, and it's like I should be tired, but but because it's kind of following your passion, I wasn't. So does that make sense?
It totally does. And it makes me think, because I've known you for a while, I'm already
Yeah.
thinking of your journey. Can you give our listeners just a nutshell of what your entrepreneurial spirit has looked like? And before you do that, I can give you a couple seconds to buy time here.
Yeah.
I was just sharing with someone last night. They wanted to know kind of my path into my company. By the time I was done explaining it, I was like, I sound nuts. I'm like, I started this company and then this one worked out and then this one didn't work out. And then I shut this one down. Then I opened this and then I did this. And, and we're looking at entrepreneurial spirit. It's all about leading yourself,
Yep.
but it's hitting me. It's like part of leading yourself is learning what you're good at, what you're
Yep.
not good at, what you like, what you don't like, what your limits are, what you want more of, what you want less of. So speak to a little bit about that as you reflect back on your journey of the last several decades of being an entrepreneur.
I love that in your journey involves owning a coffee shop, which I think is just important to people that don't know you that well. When you go, Heather's journey to where she is now involved a coffee shop, and you're opening and closing things. You're like, how does that play into what you do? And so anyway,
yeah, to that point, the coffee shop really, Darren and I call it the coffee shop lessons.
Yeah.
What we will never do again. However, we are so proud of ourselves for getting in the arena like Brene Brown talks about and just showing up to go after something. However, we're like, we'll never do food stuff again.
Yeah.
We'll, we had these okay, here's what we learned from it.
That's amazing. Well, so I was with my beginning part of life, right? Learning all this stuff. And when I got into college, was looking at being on staff at a church. That was my kind of the thought, because that was where my brain was headed. I was like, I got this degree and I was going to go lead worship at a church. And then in college, started going, I really love this idea of traveling, being a musician, but I don't even know what that means, and I remember telling somebody one time, my senior year of college, like, where are you going to be? And I said, I'm jumping on the road as an artist. And they're like, what? And I was like, I don't even know. I don't even know what it means. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to try this thing out. And it was like, okay, well, let's start this thing. And we started, I took the business side where it's like, I'm getting married. So I know how much money I need to make as a self-employed musician and living in California. And then kind of taking the steps to go, okay, well, there's X number of weeks in a month and how much do I need to make? And that started to build. And I don't know that I realized 20 plus years later that I'd still be doing what I started doing then. And it was like, I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I talked to some friends of mine who are been full-time artists, for years. And I've never had a manager or a booking agent or anything like that, because I have this kind of business and creative brain. And a lot of guys are like, how are you 20 years later still doing the thing that you started doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't, it's like, it just, because you start thinking through the years of, it was not, there was some times where I was like, this is not fun. Like, this is not fun anymore. Because it's like, we're living the time where you're living paycheck to paycheck, hoping that the next thing pays early, maybe, so that you have enough money to pay the thing that you need to do. And laying in bed going, I hope that I hope that bill gets taken out tomorrow so that I have enough money and to process life. And then, but then it's what I've learned is this world is all about relationship and people. And how do you dive so deep into that to where everything else just makes sense? And I think sometimes we forget that people matter. And I am regularly investing into relationship so that anything that we do just makes sense. And because I love people, I love working with people, and it's like the guys that fight it and and do things to burn bridges, and it's like, do you want to do life? Are you enjoying what you do? Because like the people that are around you are the only way that you're going to continue doing what you're doing. And I know as I'm saying it out loud, it sounds like I'm using people and using relationships, but it's building foundations within the community to allow yourself to continue following those dreams. And, but I will say there have been times I've like, you know what, working 9 to 5 at Costco sounds great.
Oh,
Where
I
it's
hear
like, where you just go, I could clock in, clock out, go home, and
Yeah.
and it's because it's exhausting, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know how it goes. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you do this really well, where you take blocks of time off,
Mm.
but that's not an easy scenario where you go, I'm not going to make money for the next 4 weeks, and I have to plan ahead in order to make sure that I can continue, and it's not a it's an exhausting, it can be an exhausting race, because you go, as soon as I stop, everything's gonna catch up, right? And then
Right.
but at the same time you go, I love it so much.
Yes.
And I can build a life around what it is that we're doing, and not let one dictate the other. I'd rather my
Mm-hmm.
life dictate dictate what I'm doing than what I'm doing dictate my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well said. And I think, I love that you're speaking to this because you're right. I've had my company and I've been entrepreneur, gosh, probably over 20 years now and then some, because I started dabbling in it, even while I was teaching. But I think what's really hitting me is on my hardest days, I still say, you know what? I'm in complete control of my work. And if I
Yep.
don't like it, I get to change it.
Yep.
And the only challenge I'm finding, and I think this is where I guess I want to pivot over a little bit, as an entrepreneur, if we're good at what we do, we grow things.
Yep.
There's a shadow side to growing things,
Yeah.
right? You heard my sigh, because the buck still stops with you.
Yep.
And you said you're really good at taking time off. I'm like, yeah, I am, until my time off gets kind of sabotaged, or, and that's probably too harsh a word, but it gets used up because they need to talk with me, and I'm the only one that can answer those questions.
Yep.
Whether it's clients, whether it's team, or whether it's even like just family. Like, I'm only one mom. I'm only one wife.
Yep.
And sometimes you start feeling yourself getting pulled in all these areas, even though you had this nice little block of time blocked off on it looks so clean on your calendar. But you get these random texts and calls where you really do have to care for it. And then you kind of go, wow, I didn't get that space that I needed, but I still love what I do. And it's okay with some of these seasons hitting us, because we're not going to have the perfect. That's why I don't even like the word work-life balance. That's a myth. I like work-life harmony, and be able to kind of come out of some of those spaces and go, okay, this is not my normal, and it's not going to be my normal. But you know what? Being an entrepreneur, and when the buck stops with you, whether we own a coffee shop or our own companies, there's moments and seasons where you're going to get that call or that text, or you have to deal with something that you were not prepared to deal with, but you have to show up. I don't know. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. I've tried with a lot of my coaching clients. I really set boundaries on time, but with the knowledge and the space of things are going to happen. Right? There's going to be moments where it's 8 o'clock at night, and you just found out you got fired from your job, and I'm the guy that you want to talk to, and and Casey and I have this understanding that there's a certain level of I'm accessible when I need to be when I need to be accessible.
I like
but
that.
There's also times where it's like the questions that you have can wait till tomorrow, and I have to kind of decide that in the moment, and also making sure that they understand that I am one person, and it's I also need to rest, just like we talk about the rest in our moments. But it's funny, you were talking about time, and I was thinking back to when I started being on the road, and there were days I was so bored, because I would sit back and go, my schedule's booked. I don't know what to do next, and Casey was she was teaching at elementary school, and I'm like, okay, she gets home in 3 hours. I could do the lawns, and now I sit back and go, I mean, it's 4 o'clock already. When did it become 4 o'clock? And because you start building something, and it's just like traditions. You add a tradition to the Christmas, and then next year you have 3 traditions when the year before you only had 2 traditions. And then over time it starts to build, and you have to go, what are the things that I need to let go of, and go, that worked really well for a season. And but in order to move forward, I have to say no to certain things so that I can be really good at the things that are actually in front of me. And I think there's a difference between growing and expanding as a company. And you grow to a point where you're like, this is my peak. Like I cannot take on anything else. And it's like I'm to a point where I'm like, this is everything, where I can do anything else. I just got to say no to until something gives out. And that's hard because it's like, there are things that come across your table, and, as an entrepreneur, you go, well, that looks profitable. As on the business side, you go, that's a little less work for a little more money. And if I need to make sure that I'm, doing the things that make the most sense. But yeah. And so I think there's just the balance that we have to walk on a regular basis. And something I love in just the theme in one of your books, Gray Space, is always talks about asking questions. And that's what I've lived that in, not just necessarily in relationships with people, but also with this, where you have to choose things. It's like, I just need to ask the questions and go, are the things that I'm doing, are those the best things that I could be doing? And or not, right? We used to run a conference in Northern California, and I last year I taught, I keynoted one of the sessions, and the session was on increasing your capacity as a leader. And as I'm writing the talk, I realized the conference that I'm about to go speak in and that I'm leading is actually needs to be dropped. Like right. The irony, right? It was like, the thing that I'm going to lead.
Yeah.
Like, it's not in my strengths to be leading it. I'm not a galvanizer, which we talk about the 6 types of the working genius. I'm not a galvanizer. I am, which is a big thing about getting people to an event. I can lead it. I can talk about it. But when it's like, I need to go sell tickets and punch holes and name tags and the details, that's not me. And those are the things that are draining me. So if I let this go, I can spend all that time in something else. And, and it's, we would be in the midst of that season right now if we were running that conference still. And I just released my first book last week, which was so great, because it's like,
congratulations.
Thank you. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I had this other project on my plate. And I didn't even know, when I said no to the conference, that this book was in my future. And because one thing that a friend of mine reminds me of regularly is that every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And that is, that's where this process as an entrepreneurial leader, if I say yes to this, I'm saying no to something else. And if I say no to this, it gives me the capacity to say yes to something else. And so, yeah, that was a long answer to your question, but I hope that makes sense.
Oh, so good. And I love that you brought up the example. I'm actually thinking back where I was walking through that with you a little bit, and I thought, oh yeah, these are some big decisions. And I remember thinking, are you going to be able to do this conference now that you have this clarity? And you pulled it off with stunning amazingness too, because it's okay to have that clarity and still follow through with your commitment, knowing that things are going to change after I get off the stage. Like, this is going to be different. And so it was fun to walk alongside with you on that. But it makes me think about this whole idea of growth. When we first start out as entrepreneurs, I always joke, you're like the kid in the front row in classroom with your hand up going, pick me, pick me. I'll take anything. I want to try anything. Something shifts along the way. And I call this the shadow side of success. Something shifts along the way, and you're still kind of thinking, pick me.
Yep.
I love everything and I want a shot at it, but you really can't. You have to shift into recognizing, put your hand down, Heather. Just stop volunteering to do this and take on this client and this project and this idea. And I had to learn, you mentioned this about questions. You're right. I think we ask good questions, we'll get good answers. If we're asking the wrong question during our growth season, like, how do I continue growing? Well, what I'm having to recognize over these last probably 5-6 years is really like, how do I enjoy the growth I've done? And how do I recognize the uncomfortableness? And let me speak to that a little bit, because uncomfortableness can mean one of two things. It could mean that you're getting uncomfortable because you're growing in a new area. Like you probably letting go of a really successful conference, but making space for writing a book, which you didn't realize what you're making space for, but it was opening up this whole new faith level for you to step into that. And I'm sure there was some uncomfortableness with it, but it was an important growth. Uncomfortableness can also be a flag. Say no, Heather. Say no, Jason. Step away. Put your hand down.
That's right.
And so, I think
so many moments I remember thinking, it'll be fine. It'll be fine if I say yes to this. I'll work through it. I'll work through it. Yeah.
Especially if you're successful. I mean, you had a really successful conference, and I thought I admired you. I was like, that's gutsy to walk away from something like that. That's successful, and they were wanting more. They were saying, we want you to do more, and you're like, no, thanks. So I think it's this awareness of the uncomfortableness is recognizing that it could come from a space that, this is a flag to pull back and put a new boundary down, or it's a very important growth period for me where it is uncomfortable, but I know it's what I need. And I'm kind of facing that right now where I keep checking in with my uncomfortableness, because I am facing some uncomfortableness. And I go, is this a flag for me to stop or pull back? Or is this what I need for my growth? And unfortunately, it's what I need for my growth. And so the uncomfortableness is a little like, I don't want to keep feeling this uncomfortableness, but I know it's what I need personally and professionally. And so as I take on new projects, new clients, new ideas, bring on new people with the team, there's this sense of, no, this is necessary. It's also making me recognize where I need to replenish. Because when we're in the season of growth and it is uncomfortable and we're taking risks, we have to do a little bit more to make sure we're kind of filling up our own cup, so to speak, to be able to pour out of that. So how do you replenish?
So I love that, because I, for a long time, would have this mentality that my goal was to work less and make more money. And it was like, and I realized that the pursuit of that was actually draining for me, because it was like, oh, well, if I do that, I could pull back here and then I have a lot of free space. And I was like, why am I working to have a lot of free space as opposed to working to have quality, right? And so that for me first, I should say, was a big turning point to go, man, like I can say no to that, because it's not the quality that I want to do, or it's not the, I'm going to be exhausted at the end of that, and which is going to drain me for something else. And so, I went through a process where I had to prioritize top to bottom what was the most important things. And, I like to call it a filter. So it's like, if the idea makes it to the bottom of the filter, then it's like, yes, I can move forward with it. But if it doesn't make it to the bottom of the filter, then it's an easy no to me. And so that to me, and one of the questions I asked myself is it going to drain me, or is it going to give me life? And so if that automatically takes out the things that doesn't, I'm going to be drained if I do that. And then this year, as I mentioned earlier, being the entrepreneurial, I don't get vacation time, and we don't, how it goes. You have to set aside that moment, that time of replenishment. And I, this year I've decided with the coaching schedule, there's 4 months a year that have 5 weeks, and January, May, July, and October which is what it was this last year, and I think that's what it'll be this next year too. And so January, May, July, and October, I took the last week, Monday to Friday, cleared everything off my calendar. So still leading worship on Sundays because I just yeah, still leading worship on Sundays. So like then Monday to Friday in my work week, I just cleared everything that I off my calendar. I say no to any one-on-ones. All my coaching clients, none of them would fall on the fifth week anyway, and so canceled every meeting, and then every day it's a chance for me to go, okay, what am I doing today, and what am I looking forward to? January's week actually was the run up to our conference, and so I took the week off before a big event. Like Monday to Friday, I did nothing. And then our event was on Saturday. And I was like, how on earth am I? This was a great idea, but how am I going to do that? And I just planned that the conference was the weekend before. And then the week of, I was sitting at a coffee shop. You know, girls were in school. I was writing. I was working on some podcast stuff. And just like I didn't have to be anywhere. And then in May, we were on vacation as a family in Walt Disney World. July was middle of summer. We had just come back from a 3-week tour. And so it's like, I have a week at home with nothing. We can do family trips. And then in October, I took the week and started writing a book. And it's like, I need that time. And I was able to figure out, how can I take time out of my schedule and it not necessarily affect my bottom line, where it's, you know, I'm canceling coaching sessions and all of those things. And then the other thing I do is I really try and protect Fridays and Saturdays as my as a weekend. If I'm on the road, I will put that time off later in the week. So I'll come home to an easier day. But Friday, I've learned if I can get the yard work done Friday morning while the girls are in school, and kind of get the house, you know, outside the house cleaned up, and kind of do the home stuff. Come Saturday, I don't have to do it, and then as a family, we get to have a day together. And I've tried to work that through, and with the do not disturb functions on my iPhone. I've set some boundaries on who can reach me when, and just recently I flipped my every time you can do location. But I learned this recently. I sound like I'm an old man. I learned about my phone, Heather, and the things that it offers.
Well done.
Yeah, right. I watched a YouTube video. No, and so I learned that you can do location based, and so anytime I get within about a half mile of my house, there's a circle. My phone flips to do not disturb. So and there's a small select group of people that can get through that filter. And so that when I'm home and sitting at lunch or at dinner or, you know, breakfast or just around the house, my phone's not going off and I'm distracted. I can pull it out and check it and go, oh, somebody texted me an hour ago, you know, but I can respond to it when I can respond to it, but it's not going to interrupt a conversation with one of my kids or, and so we now have a 14-year-old and our twins are 11, and it's like, I want to be so accessible to them when I'm there, and they're not looking at the backside of my phone on a regular basis.
I think you do that so well. You spoke to this earlier in the conversation of kind of holding that tension of boundaries, but being available. And, you know, you and I have worked on several projects and things together.
Yeah.
And we're both, I think we get it. We're so respectful of each other's times, but man, when there's an SOS on either end, I have seen, I was like, I think I might be on his filter.
Yeah.
If I'm not, don't tell me. I just want to feel like I'm special.
You get through, Heather.
I get through. Okay.
You get through.
And vice versa. You know, I remember you sent me a quick text. I'm like, oh, he doesn't do this. And I remember calling you at 7 p.m. and you picked up, and we're like, we don't really do this. We don't like working past 5 p.m. But when we do reach out, we know we need a conversation. So
correct.
I've loved that about you. I think it's been really the secret to your success. And when I say success, you and I both know the heartbeat of our success is our family life.
Yep.
You know, our marriage, and we jokingly say we want to stay married, but that's way too low a bar. We want to enjoy our marriage, and we want to enjoy our kids.
Yep.
We want that quality of life. And in order to do so, we have to have the boundaries. And occasionally it seeps over, but I've noticed you do this, and I think we both do this. Once in a while it does. We gently apologize to our families. I'm so sorry. I have to take this call, but this is not my normal. This is something I have to address right now.
And when you address it that way specifically, I've noticed there's a grace. There's a grace there, because it's not like, oh, dad is gone again, or oh, mom's gone again. It's like, oh, this must be important because this is not a normal thing.
Exactly. And it also lets us off the hook, because I just want to speak to every entrepreneur out there. We don't have the luxury of a nice little clean 9 to 5.
Right.
We don't, and once in a while something's going to come through. And so this is that, I guess I'm never going to beat that drum of have the perfect boundaries and just say no. I'm like, I'm glad there were times when I picked up that phone or returned that call, anything from to support a client that really needed me in that moment to an opportunity that I'm really glad I got to listen to. That being said, I loved your idea of filters. I have, again, the shadow side of success. I'm getting way too much contacts. When I had a nice little tiny business where it was just me and like 10 clients, it was wonderful, But because I've opened myself up, and the running joke is I just keep opening new emails so nobody will find me. But it's also that awareness of how do I honor the people that are reaching out to me, and how do I sift through the ones that are really cold calling and I don't want to make time for them.
Yes.
That's, again, a new level that I'm really addressing to make sure that in what I found my false belief was I was sucked into everybody who contacted me. I had to respond to. Well, I'm giving the same level of responsibility to, like, you giving me a call, to a spam person who found me out of Africa and is trying to contact me about something.
Right.
I was giving that same level of care, and I realized, oh my goodness, I need a whole new filter. And now I'm at the point where I probably have 10 filters, not just one, but I'm looking at all of these and I'm like, how do I read through it quickly? But I guess that's something that I'm listening to you talk about. And I think you're right. Part of us growing, we have to grow our filters for how we are supporting and cultivating a quality of life that we're committed to.
Everybody has the same amount of hours in a week. And that's where I think we get stuck on. It's like, oh, that guy is so successful because, he's there's something different about him. Well, he has the same 40 hours or 50 hours, whatever, in a week than you have. It's just how you spend your time, and like people look at like the president of the United States and go, that guy has the weight of the country on his shoulders and is still able to make decisions, wherever you fall on the political line, right? Whoever it is, like the senators, like they have so much weight on their shoulders, but they have the same amount of hours in a day. It's just how they spend their time and focus on what's in front of them. You go to any CEO of companies and it's like, they're doing the same thing. It's just what I had to sit back and do is go, like, I'm the CEO of our organization, and then I have all of these hats. So how do I make the decisions based on I'm a husband and a dad, and that's the most important, and then everything else comes after it. And so and so I don't like to make, being a creative, I don't like to make a lot of unnecessary decisions, and because it takes my brain away from other things. And so there's things like I wear the same clothes every day. Like that's the thing. I get up in the morning and I wear the same clothes because when I'm awake, I don't want to have to think about things that I don't necessarily care about, right?
Yeah.
And so you look at like Mark Zuckerberg when he was launching Facebook. He always wore the same clothes, and now it's a little different, but he always had the same. Everybody see him like, or Steve Jobs, like those guys always would come out wearing the same thing because it's like, that's not my. I don't need to think about those things, and I thought it was silly at first, and then I realized I'm like, I can get out of the house and to work with a cup of coffee in my hand, and I have not had to make decisions.
Yeah,
and,
not wasting your creativity there, are you?
No, and and it's like you just think a little bit here and a little bit there. You're still dumping. You're still giving up part of your day to that. And if I had to stand in front of my closet in the morning and go, is it a blue shirt day? Is it a green? Do I want to wear, and that's some
Yeah.
people's creative space.
Yeah.
But like, to me, that was dumb. And
Mm-hmm.
I literally have 14 of the same shirts and
Mm.
7 pairs of the same shorts and 3 pairs of the same pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 pairs of the same tennis shoes. And I like, it just matters if it's cold or not as to what I put on in the morning, or if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be on stage in the morning. So,
Mm-hmm.
and somewhere, like, I don't, it doesn't matter to me, and so it's limiting those decisions for me has been a game changer
Mm-hmm.
in kind of helping my brain to take a step into, as growth is happening,
Mm-hmm.
that's requiring more of me.
Yeah.
And so something else has to require less of me.
Oh, well
And
said.
where
Mm-hmm.
can I, pull back so that I can put more over here? And yeah, I was doing the same thing. You're talking about the access
Mm-hmm.
on the phone. It's like, I was like, oh, a spam call, oh, a spam call, oh, a spam
Mm-hmm.
call. And, and our brains don't multitask.
Mm-hmm.
People say like, I can multitask. No, your brain's actually clicking in and out of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I can stay somewhere a long time and not click out,
Yes, well
you're going to
said.
get more of me, and
Yep.
I'm going to go deeper. I'm not going to be waiting for that ding so that I
Mm-hmm.
can jump. And so,
I love that. I've been living with my phone, my ringer on silence. It's only gotten me in trouble a couple times, but I love that feeling that I don't get to, I don't have to hear sorry, as I'm speaking, my phone is going off. My alarm's going off. Forgive me. Forgive me, Jason. I don't know. The irony of that was just too much for me. It's going off to remind me to eat. Okay. So that's where
right.
I'm at in my life. But I get too
I like
focused.
how you just silence it. I'll eat later. I'll eat later. That's right.
Totally.
That's right.
I'll eat later.
Yeah, remind me again in 9 minutes.
Exactly. But I don't even like to hear my phone ring anymore, or I don't even like the ping of the text. I don't like any of that.
Remember
So
the
it's
days of
totally
spending
silent.
money on ringtones? Like we were like, you're
Yes.
buying ringtone, and now we're
Yes.
like, silence. Like
Yeah.
you're just, I don't want to hear it anymore.
I
Don't make me.
know. And I love that you brought up about all the hours of the day. It makes me think of, I read in a biography about George Bush, probably, 10, 15 years ago. And one of the tidbits that stuck with me is that it didn't matter who was at his house at the White House, who was entertaining. At 9:30 p.m., sometimes to the chagrin of his wife, he'd be like, well, time for bed. He'd get up and just walk upstairs and go to bed.
That's amazing.
So that he could get up the next morning around 5 a.m. and do a 5-mile run. And he was notorious for his runs where his Secret Service couldn't even keep up with him. They had to have really fit Secret Service. And I thought he already knew what was his mandatory boundary there. That was his, I'm putting on my outfit, the same outfit every day. I'm not going to have to think about this. Doesn't matter who's here. I go to bed at 9:30. I get up at 5 a.m. because only in doing so can I run the country.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he lets himself do that, how much more do we need to do that? And I started realizing I don't take meetings after 5 p.m. I made a mistake the other night and booked one at 7 p.m. And I'm so proud of myself because I kept going, oh, just take the meeting. I go, no, this was your boundary. So I had to own it. I had to call them and say, I'm so sorry. I actually want to be in my PJs with a good book at 7 p.m. on Friday night. And taking a meeting was really not wise on my part. So can we change it? And of course, they were so gracious. And I think to your point, when we own it well and apologize that I wished I could do this.
Yep.
I really want to do this. And now I'm in the fear of disappointing, or now I'm in the fear of like, I can't change my mind. And that's all shame-based thinking. To be able to just own it and own it well and say, I said yes when I should have said no. Please forgive me. Can we switch another day? And it ended up being so much better. And I was so glad I got to do that. I also, talking about filters, it helps me understand the type of people that I'm working with. Not that I just change my mind all the time, but once in a while, you just have to ask for a little bit of grace because you didn't handle that as well as you probably should have. And now you have to eat crow there and step into that and say, oops, sorry. Can we change this? And here's why. I'm amazed at how gracious people really are. And it's really the unhealthy ones that get mad at you. And then you go, wow, I know what I'm dealing with.
Yep, exactly.
I don't want to work with you anymore. The majority of people, though, have such a gracious response because we've all been there.
Yep.
But we got to own it well. We got to take responsibility for what we did and how we can step into that.
One of my clients, we were talking a couple weeks ago about how she was overcommitted, and I said, you have to quit something. You know, Bob Goff always says he quits something on Thursdays. I love that.
Every Thursday.
And every Thursday he quits something. And I said, you have to decide. So we prioritized, and I said, these bottom items, you got to drop it. She's like, well, I only have 2 rehearsals left before this event. And I said, but what are you going to do? Like, you know, there's somebody that can step in and take your place. And she's like, well, they're going to be upset with me if I said, if they're upset with you for taking care of yourself, they're not your people.
Well said.
They're not your people. Those aren't the people that they just want something out of you.
Yep.
And that's not somebody that you need to be connected with. And because if that's all they're working towards is going, the only reason that our relationship exists is that I can pull something out of you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved. I don't I want to care about you on the side and work together, or we don't need to work together, you know? And, there's too many people in the world that I'm like, I could be as busy as I'll get out with and be flush to the schedule. And there's still more people that could use what we offer. So I don't know that I don't need to drain myself in order to be involved in this conversation.
Well
and
said.
So, yeah.
I love it, Jason. First of all, I hope this doesn't sound too motherly, but I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm careful saying that because I never want to sound like I'm above anybody, but I'm like, you've inspired me over the years, and I know we've inspired one another to hold our ground, hold our boundaries, and we've learned from our mistakes. I know hopefully you've learned from mine. I've learned from yours where there's no shame in it. It's like, oops, I don't think I want to do this. How do I get out of this? You know, we've had some of those conversations and I'm like, yeah, get out of it. Good job. How are you going to finish this well? Then how are you going to get out of it? I mean, it just, to be able to have that ease with you, I've so appreciated. And I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing because our world needs your voice in that. And I guess as we wrap up, I want to say, what encouragement do you want to leave our listeners out there, especially those who are probably trying to navigate entrepreneurial life and figure out how to lead themselves?
I love this. I love that you end podcast this way because it's like there's the opportunity for encouragement. And one thing that I want to leave everybody with is you are in control of your own space, and I think that's something that we forget. And it's like, well, my kids are involved in this and in that, and I'm so, and it's like, well, everything's a yes, everything can be a no or be a yes. And you have to decide what's the most important thing, where's your priority list and where did you go? And then you're taking care of yourself so you can go be the best version of you. And that's not selfish. And that's not we think about it and go, oh, that's a selfish thing. It's not selfish. It's not selfish to take care of you. It's selfish. It's not selfish. It's, you are actually allowing yourself to be the best version of you. And some of those things are hard decisions, hard conversations. You look at your life and go, I'm trying to do this thing, but there's so many other things. You have to take a step back and realize where does that priority list sit? And then once you build those filters around, man, life is good. Like life is meant to be good. And it's also too when the stress and the hardships and everything comes, you're not running out of an empty space. You're running out of like it's okay to burn a little bit because you've been running such in the green that if you have to pull back a little bit, you're not going deeper into the red. And so my encouragement is just to remember that you are in control of of what you do and where you are and who you're with. And so just, take a step forward in that space.
Well said. Well said. And I want to tag on to that. Stay curious with yourself. I think we have a tendency, I work with so many overachievers and high achievers and amazing, gifted people. It takes one to know one. And I think when we just recognize when that inner voice is pushing yourself to do more, do more, do more, do more. Even this morning, I just kind of had to sit in this space and just say, everything you're doing is enough. It's enough for now. You get to be fully present and you have everything you need for this moment, because I could feel the build of my week in front of me. And I just had to stay curious with myself. And as I reach for curiosity, for me, it's reaching for love. It's reaching for grace. When I reach for striving and pushing and fear and anxiety, it just keeps me in a place of really being motivated from striving and stress, which you can get things done that way.
Right.
But you're miserable and you're probably making everyone else miserable around you. And so is that the way we really want to live? And I would say as things grow and shift and change, because nothing is ever the same day to day, much less year to year, stay curious with yourself and ask good questions. Like, is this uncomfortable because it's an important growth area, or is it uncomfortable because it's a flag that I need to step away from? Is this something I really like or want more of or want less of? These are powerful questions that allow you to kind of just settle into where am I growing now and how do I get to know me? Because life is this beautiful classroom where we want to make sure that we're navigating it well and we are giving ourselves the permission to learn about ourselves.
Yeah. I want to tag that with one thing quickly. A lot of people ask me, like, how do you get to do what you do and get to be where you are? And I always leave people with, it's a journey. Like it's not you're not jumping into success. You're jumping into a journey to see where you fit in that story. And with the entrepreneurial life, it is you'll start somewhere and then continue to build. You'll start somewhere and continue to walk, and you'll have good days and bad days. But it is you have to look at it as a journey and not as something to just jump into and ride.
Right.
It takes work.
Yes. So. Well said. Well, Jason, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely.
And listeners, we're going to have all the deets of Jason, where you can find him.
Deets. Well done. Deets.
Yeah. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Including his link to his new book. I mean, These are all fun things, and be able to have an awareness for how to connect with him, or even just how to learn from him, or just how to follow him and listen to his show too. And I would highly encourage you to do that.
Awesome.
And Jason, we're both cheering everybody on, aren't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I say it?
Yes, you say it.
We're cheering you on.
Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for listening in. It was a great conversation, wasn't it? Wow. Check the show notes for any additional resources. Also, maybe where to find our guests. And if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It sure helps us out. Thanks so much. We are always cheering you on.